I'm Nicki Minaj, and this
is Authenticity Radio.
Authenticity Radio with Slade Suiter.
Let's go to the beach, eat, let's go get a wave. They say what they gonna say. Have a drink, clink, found a Bud Light. Bad like me, it's hard to come by. The Patron, let's go get it down. The sound, yes, I'm in the zone. Is it 2, 3? Leave a good tip. I'ma blow all of my money and don't give a fuck.
And now, your host, who has the hospitality of a fat and jolly innkeeper, Slade Suiter.
And thank you very much. This is Slade Suiter broadcasting from the studios of Authenticity Radio. Today, I have a very special guest who may be able to explain to the international community what's been happening in Catalonia. It's all over the international news how Catalunya is seeking for independence. And what better way to find out than calling in a communication entrepreneur, a famous Catalan journalist who has hosted on several Catalan national television shows, and the commissioner of the commemoration of a famous memorial battle that was fought and lost in 1714. Miquel Calçada, thank you for joining us on Authenticity Radio, and welcome to you.
Thank you, Slade, and I appreciate you for having me here in your show.
Absolutely. I'm just very thankful that you decided to join us today because I see a rocket, and it's sitting on a launching pad. And on this rocket has the word Catalunya. And I'm sitting outside as a foreigner seeing this rocket on the launching pad, and I have no idea of its destination. Do you know where this rocket is ready to take off to?
I am very glad you are asking me this question. I think this is a good image. This is a good picture of a rocket. For me, it's been a long time for this rocket to take off, and the destination is very clear. I mean, we want to become a new European state. That's the only point. I think that after 300 years of being politically under a state like Spain, finally people in Catalonia are awakening and want to decide its own future.
Now, Catalunya and the Catalan people have the primary important ingredients of its own culture, its own language, thus conserving and preserving its identity over time. As Catalunya strikes out on a road toward independence, as it claims international headlines, now there still are many people abroad who are rather surprised to find out that the rose in the hair, the bullfights, and the flamenco dancing is not a part of the Catalan culture, is it?
No, absolutely no. I mean, I think we have to tell our listeners abroad that actually we are sort of, I don't know if you say this word in English, anomaly?
Anomaly, yes.
Anomaly. We are a sort of anomaly. I mean, we should have disappeared some 100 years ago, something like this, because many of the little nations in Europe that didn't reach the status of having a state, they did disappear. For instance, Occitania, which used to occupy the south part of France with our own culture, and own language, and they used to have a Nobel Prize, literature Nobel Prize in the beginning of the 20th century. But anyway, this is an example of that they disappear. No? So after 300 years, our country stands, and we are still here, and that's the great news, because we've been through lots of different stages in our history. We've been through a lot of repression of our culture, of our language, and politically. And this is amazing because we are a nation 1,000 years old, and we used to have one of the oldest parliaments in Europe. And so, finally, at the beginning of this 21st century, people is awakening and is realizing that the only thing that could save our culture and our way of behaving and our way of being or being ourselves as we are is having state structures like any other state in the world. So this doesn't have to sound that strange, because in the last 50 years, 20 years, more than 10 new states have been created in Europe. We shouldn't take this as a strange thing, no? And the only point now is that the Spanish state doesn't want or is very, very, very reluctant to admit not just a referendum, but just a question, to pose this question into the people and say, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a new state in Europe, or do you want to remain a province or a nation within Spain? In the 21st century, this should not a strange thing. Well, actually, Great Britain is doing the same with Scotland, and there's no problem. We know that the British authorities, maybe they don't want Scotland to leave the Union, but they understand that at the end of the day, whatever the Scottish decide, it will be what they like. I mean, we have to ask people what they want to be. You know?
Well,
that's the point.
That's a perfect question. What do Catalans want? Are Catalans ready for independence?
In my case, I'm now in my late 40s. I've been independent. I've been a fan of the independence since I was a youngster or teenager. But I remember I was kind of free, no? Not now. And I think, well, I'm not here to give suggestions to the Spanish state or whatever, but this has been a very step-by-step process. I mean, there are lots of people that they never thought they could become in favor of independence, but facts and numbers and features and the way that institutions in Spain treat us as a different people or mistreat us make them realize that there's no way. I mean, this is not a union. We were defeated in 1714, and we've been through, as I told you before, different stages through history where we've been more or less repressed. These last 35 years, when democracy once again come back to Spain, the Spanish state has had these 35, 40 years to try to build a really new state and try to reunite the different nations within this state. I'm referring to the Basque Country or even to the Galicians, the north part of Portugal.
Which also has a separate identity, which also has a
they
culture
have,
of their own.
But instead of this, they kept going in one centralized direction. And now we as Catalans have realized that there's no way, there's impossible to live together with someone that doesn't treat you like not just like you deserve, but like you are. And in this specific economic and difficult times, this is more so because we have another problem, which is this deficit in the fiscal balances. You know, and this deficit is not, we're not talking about 3-4% of the GDP of the Catalan as a nation. We are talking every single year of a piece of something around 9-10%. And this is a lot. But don't be confused. People in Catalonia are not willing to be independent just because of the numbers. This is one of many other things.
It definitely appears to be a catalyst. I went to a bakery not too far from where I live, and there were some Catalan people talking among themselves, and one of the things came up was that there were several people that were kind of hesitant or afraid or maybe comfortable in the way things were. And then one of the other Catalan women, older women, she stood up and said, "It is now or never. We have momentum on our side, and if we don't use this momentum, we'll never have another chance."
That's perfect. I mean, you're absolutely right. And this old lady you were telling now is absolutely right. I mean, history has its own windows when sometimes they open but most of the times they are closed. And I think now is the time. We've been through lots of phases, but from 1714 and until the middle 19th century. In middle 19th century, there was this idea, this romantic idea of our nation being a great nation in Europe during the Middle Ages, and all those writers and all those political thinkers start recalling these old good times in the middle of the 19th century. And this crystallized at the beginning of the 20th century with the Mancomunitat, which, by the way, in 2014, we're going to commemorate the centennial of the Mancomunitat. That was the very first recovering of self-government since 1714. But then again, it comes a dictatorship, Primo de Rivera, and our language was once again forbidden. And so you could be fined if someone, this is amazing, I mean, if someone hears you in the street talking Catalan, or if someone, because it was right down as a law, it is forbidden to speak Catalan by phone. I mean, this is very weird. It sounds weird now, but it wasn't. I mean, and then it comes the Spanish Republic, and we had once again the Generalitat. By the way, Generalitat is our government since 1341. 1341, the 14th century, and was created in Cervera. Well, so we recovered the Generalitat during the Second Spanish Republic from 1931, but then again in 36, Spanish Civil War, in 1940, we were once again with a dictatorship of General Franco, and we were forbidden absolutely in every corner of our life as a community, from language, culture, not to mention political structures, until 1975.
You are listening to a live interview with Miquel Calçada. We'll return right after this message.
Authenticity Radio, where honesty is refreshing, phoniness out of style, and the only thing available on today's menu is the freedom to express who you truly are. Authenticity comes in one flavor, the real you. For a workshop or seminar in authenticity or conflict resolution, contact www.authenticityradio.com.
Hey, this is Demi Lovato. Amazing.
You're listening to Authenticity Radio.
And now we return to a live interview with Miquel Calçada. Well, hold on here for a moment. Mm-hmm. It seems to me that there are a lot of people who are just not aware of the history of Catalonia in terms of Spain. And it seems to me that there is a large cocktail in the making as we speak, with many individual ingredients. One ingredient seems to be the reclaiming of the identity of what it is to be a Catalan, keeping in mind the history of a reoccurring repression of your culture and language. And then you mix in the financial inequality of Catalan to the rest of Spain, and throw in the international crisis on top of that. I can understand how Catalunya would want to taste a new future for itself.
That's exactly as you're telling our listeners. This is a kind of cocktail, and there have been many ingredients, and the last one has been this incredible economic crisis, and this crisis has a catalyst. I would like to say also that I think that technology and the sign of times goes with us. I mean, all these developments in technology, internet, social networks, etc., all these things made world